Hello everyone, welcome to another video and I hope you're having good holidays. Today I would like to show quite a hectic game I played um, 3 days ago at the time of recording this. So I'll show you the game. I was playing with the white pieces against someone 400, well 340 about rating points higher than me. So it was going to be a tense game. I'm playing with the white pieces. I'm good with the white pieces, but I'm against a much higher opponent. So much stronger opponent. So e4 was played. Um, Normal stuff. He went e5, contesting the center. And then I played this curious move. The bishop's opening is written on the left. Idea is to just bring the bishop out to its normal square and delay knight f3. Knight f3 is delayed in order for f4 to be able to be played later on. But let's continue. Knight f6, attacking that, and knight c3 just defending it. Knight c6, completing his two knights development, and d3. In this position, he played an interesting move. Of course, there are moves like bishop c5, d6, etc. He went knight to a5 instead. His intentions being obvious that he wants to just take the bishop off. So um, what I did was I just ignored him. I went knight g to e2, completing my development. And after this swap, you may be saying, why did you allow him to double up your pawns and weaken your center? Well, this is why. I'm able to now set up a sort of bind on the position. Of course, if I get the chance to do it, then I will. You'll see what happened. After d takes on c4, he went bishop to c5, trying to exploit some dark squared weaknesses that I have due to my pawns being so advanced and on the light squares. So after bishop c5, I castled, and then d6. Just a normal move, protecting that, or whatnot. And then I played bishop g5 here to pin the knight. One of my threats, it's not really a threat, but I'm planning to go here and, well, wreak havoc on his king side. He went h6, and here I was a bit stuck on what to do. This position. So I fought for a tiny bit. By that I mean like 1 minute. Oh, I forgot to mention the time control. Both of us had about 2 hours each on our clock with a 30-second increment. So very long games. This game lasted 5 hours, literally. So h6 attacks my bishop, asks it the question. Do I go back here? Do I go here? Do I go there? My mouse keeps drifting. It's a cheap mouse. What do I do? Those are my options. Well, of course, I'm not going to go to f4 because it just gets captured. I'm not going to go to e3 because he doubles up my pawns. I'm not going to go to d2 or c1 because that's an ugly looking retreat which blocks my queen or my rook. So these are the only two options left. Problem with, so in the game, I went bishop takes knight. Uh, if we look at bishop h4, I was a little bit scared because he gets g5 in, and then h5, and he gets an attack. The reason why you may be asking why would he be playing so riskily? This is because his king isn't castled yet, so it's fine for him to advance these pawns. So h5 threatening h4. Let's see what the engine has to say about this. It's saying that black is completely winning. Right. Let's say I went to go h3, right? Okay. Oh wow, g4. Yeah, this is very scary. One of the problems is this bishop. So if I had done that, I would have got completely ambushed. I'm grateful for not going bishop h4, and I did see that before in the game. I decided to instead, as the engine suggests me to do, take the knight, and he took back my queen. Well, he could take back my pawn technically, go rook there, pawn there, queen g5, maybe bishop h3 before moving the pawn, but um, he just went there. It's more natural, isn't it? Keeping the pawn structure intact and doing this. So it allowed me to knight d5, chase the queen back to d8 where it protects the pawn. Then, after queen d8, I played b4 just to attack the bishop. It can only go backwards. Um, if it goes anywhere else, it just gets taken. It has to go there in order for the a pawn to recapture it. So after bishop b6, my plan was basically to take this bishop off because it's actually dangerous. It's a hazard to my king. Then play f4, right? f4, knight g3, queen h5. That was my basic plan. But um, you know, I don't really need to rush to take this bishop because it's kind of already trapped anyway. By trapped, I don't mean I'm going to win the bishop. I just mean it can't move. It can't go anywhere. The only way he can escape the bishop is to play a6 or c6. But then I would take at that moment, and he's wasted a tempo playing a6 or c6. So I just went queen d3. Idea being to stop this f5 pawn break that he might have had. So after queen d3, he just castled after a 6-minute fought. Castles, and then yeah, I fought for 8 minutes because I was figuring out a plan. I just went for knight g3. Once again, pinning down this square. So he went g6, trying to maybe prevent my knight getting in there whilst also playing f5 himself. So after g6, then this is when I took the bishop and he took back by a pawn to free up the rook. One of my issues here for a few moves was that I would love to go rook and immediately push, but he just steals this pawn for free. But you'll see what happened. After a takes b6, I went f4, as the green arrow suggested, and then he took. After that, I recaptured, and I mean, it looks like a pretty normal game. The only problem is his dark squared bishop is gone, leaving all these weaknesses here, and his pawns have been pushed in a sort of dissatisfactory way. So he had to deal with these problems. Therefore, he went queen g5. Maybe go queen e5 and try and cover up these squares that way. Makes sense to me. I went rook a to f1, connecting my rooks, and uh, allowing him to capture. In fact, in the game, he didn't take because he was scared I would go h4, h5, and rook f6, queen e3, and attack this pawn, these two pawns, which is understandable. He got scared. So after rook a to f1, he went queen to e5. In fact, let's look at if he were to take. I think the engine says he's completely winning. Look, the engine, okay, not completely winning, but he has a pawn worth of advantage, 0.9 points. So I guess what the engine says makes sense because the engine knows how to defend. I was playing a 2200 and he did know how to defend, but maybe he was a bit scared because h4, queen e5, h5, attacking this. In fact, threatening to take the pawn and win it because if he recaptures, my two rooks can capture his rook over there if his pawn were to ever do that. So he would have to go like g5, which is ugly. If he takes, he just has double pawns. Then rook f6, maybe king g7, and he defends this. Um, this case, I might give like check or rook f5, allow the bishop to take, only play knight takes. But um, yeah, I don't actually know why he went for this because I think this is a safe position. Maybe queen f3 and bishop e6, and he is completely safe. Oh, actually, is this a move? This position. Of course, he could just go king to h7, but then queen f6 is annoying, isn't it? If he were to take, that's even worse. I think check. Maybe this check. Yeah, that one. If he blocks by a queen, then I take the bishop away. If he moves the king, I just checkmate him. I mean, wait, actually, this isn't checkmate, is it? Check bishop g8. Ah, so close to winning, isn't it? If queen f8, then that just repeats moves. Um, I mean, I could take and check. The point is, he didn't want to get into these annoying positions, so maybe he got a bit scared and played queen e5 above rook takes a2. He went queen e5 anyway. I went a3 to protect this. It's funny because I fought in this position for about 23 minutes. I fought for 23 minutes and played a3. It's because I was calculating all these h4, h5 stuff and concluded that he knew how to defend. So I went a3, saying that Before attacking, I'll just keep my pawn safe. So after a3, he went c5. Very interesting because it gives it adds a new parameter into the game. It adds something new that I have to watch out for, which is queen d4, which swaps off queens, and it's annoying for me. So c5, a bit of pressure there. I don't really think the move does that much, to be honest. I just went h4, and he replied with h5. If you're wondering why didn't he follow up with his c5 idea and give a check, well, that's because takes, rook d1 probably attacking this. If he were to go rook takes a3, then rook takes d4, and he cannot protect this pawn because after rook d8, the only move to protect it, I have e5, and I win the pawn regardless. If he thought he was smart, which he is, but if he did do this, thinking he had forked me, I would give him a check and then escape with the other rook and be winning. Um, so here, perhaps he would have to play rook a4 and counter attack, danger levels, all this stuff. Then I would take, he would take, I'd go rook f6, and it's kind of ambiguous as to who's winning. Maybe black is a bit better because of this pass pawn, but then white might be better because his pieces are all in the game. I could even go h5, to be honest. That's a good move, actually, isn't it? h5. I either take this, or he takes and allows my rook to go there and my knight to go there. The engine would probably say white is better. Whoa, it says it's dead equal. The engine says it's dead equal. I think because the engine knows how to defend against all of this. You know, would my 2200 opponent be similar? Probably. In fact, he played very close to engine strength for most of the game. Then he made like a few mistakes. Um, so then, so yeah, that's why he wouldn't be able to swap off queens so fast. h4, he went h5. I'm gonna promote the variation. Yeah. So h5 was played by him, and as you notice, this looks like it further weakens all of these dark squares around his king, and his bishop isn't able to protect them. So h5, I decided to go rook f6. Um, of course, I want to take this. It's obvious, isn't it? So he went bishop to e6, blocking the rook from taking the pawn. After bishop to e6, I fought for a total of 1 minute. I played king h2. Okay, that wasn't so. I thought it sounded dramatic in my head. Um, my idea was I wanted to go queen e3 and then rook f5 like this. I might show you why later, but I realized that in a lot of these lines, he would be able to take my rook and then swap off queens, completely ruin my attack, and I would lose. So I went king h2, basically so that this move wouldn't be check anymore, and I have time to escape with my queen and decline a queen trade if I want to. King h2 anyway. Um, c takes b4, a takes b4, just normal stuff. b5, trying to create some counterplay desperate. Oh, let me switch off the engine. I accidentally left it on. b5. Um, that's his threat. So I played queen to e3, which is the best engine move apparently. Idea being I just want to get into this h6 square and create problems for him. So king g7, very good, very prophylactic. And c5, trying to create my own counterplay on the other side of the board. He took and I took, and he played, I think b4, did he? Yes, b4. In fact, before this, I had a very curious looking move. I want to show you. Boom. Look at that. That is ridiculous. Imagine playing this against a 2200, and I love this move. Problem is it doesn't work. I'll show you why later. I'll show you, first of all, I'll show you all the cases where it does work. Firstly, his queen is under attack. His pawn and his bishop can take the rook, or he can move away with his queen. He can also take this rook. First, if he takes the rook, you may be thinking this, check maybe, check, king h7, check, and the least I can get is a draw. This is not a bad position for me at all. Okay, check there, and the engine would probably say it's about what? Whoa, +3, +3. Yeah, okay, I'm wrong then. White is winning this position according to the engine. probably because of black's lackluster activity. You get the point. So that is good for white. However, here after queen takes rook, white has a much better move. Can you please pause the video and try and figure out what is going on here? And it's not. It's only a checkmate if the other guy complies. So I'll show you. Knight takes h5 first. Of course, he can't move his king away because you take the queen for free. He takes the knight. Then you take this. And that rook is simply untouchable. Because, look, checkmate. Look at that. This is one of the best. Imagine if I'd done this against a 2200. The idea of knight h5 can now be apparent. Earlier, this pawn, right? You see this pawn here that I'm highlighting? It was on that square. So in that situation, this would block the queen from attacking that square, so the king would be able to go there safely. But now, because this pawn is displaced, because I would have gone knight h5, the king cannot go there anymore because the queen protects that square. So here, the rook would be untouchable. He would probably go like rook g8 or something. Let's say rook h8. But then I'm just completely winning. In material as well. So therefore he wouldn't be able to take the rook at all. What else can he do? He can take this by pawn. In fact, that is probably the worst move he had, because check and then checkmate. Simple ladder checkmate. Look at that. Takes. Oops, sorry. G takes. Check. Checkmate. Easy. So that. How about if he moves his queen away? Let's say to d6, keeping this pin against the knight. Well, firstly, I would remove the pin like that. And of course, if he went to a different place where the pin is removed anyway, I wouldn't need to play d5. But let's say he went to d6. Oops, sorry, no, not that. And to d6. I remove the pin, stop him from going there. He would move his queen somewhere else. Then I can give him this check. If the king decides to retreat there, then he gets mated on the spot. If the king decides to retreat over there, then he gets mated on the spot. And if he takes the knight, then rook g5 is mate. So he would either have to take the knight like this or play king h7. Let's say king h7 first. This is already a dismal enough position. I can probably go rook g5 and just be completely fine. In fact, let's see what the engine says. It says rook F, simply rook f1 and then +5 apparently. Well, I was thinking of rook g5, so maybe I'm almost as good as an engine. So if he were to take, then same checkmate as always. There, checkmate. So he wouldn't be able to move his queen. The only option left over is for him to take this rook, like that. Just to remind you, this move failed because of knight takes h5. Then he takes, then we take the queen, he takes the rook, and we checkmate him, like that. Pawn takes failed because of just two-move checkmate, like that. Moving the queen away failed because we first break the pin on the knight, then we use the knight, and then he gets mated very soon. So after rook f5, his best move is to take by bishop. Now here, of course the engine will suggest something else, but my whole idea was to play queen g5. This is a monstrous move if it had worked. It didn't work, but if it had worked, it would have been monstrous. All that would have needed for this to work would be, you see this pawn over here? Place it there. This is winning for white. Or there even. This is winning for white. But it's over there. And I'll show you why it's so important. First of all, let's look at all the lines that lose for black. So it's clearly established that the bishop is under attack. This rook is under attack. Knight h5 is on the horizon very soon. And the immediate threat is just rook takes f5 with this pin. So here, if he moves his bishop, then obviously his queen just gets ousted like that. So yeah, his only options are like to play the moves that win, or to play the moves that lose. So one of these such moves that lose is rook e8. Because I take my rook, attack the queen, he can't take this way because my pawn defends it. He can't take this way because there's a pin. So he would have to move his queen somewhere. Let's say it goes there, trying to maintain the pin on this knight. Then I simply go e5 and knight h5 and queen f6 and I win. He's easily getting mated. In fact, what does the engine say? It says rook a6 and he defends. Oh, okay, well. But I'm still like almost winning if he doesn't defend properly. So that's rook e8. If you were to play a random move like this, then takes e5 and a knight h5. That was my entire idea. It's a killer idea. It's crazy if it would have worked. So queen g5. What are his only two proper defenses that win him the game? Maybe one of them wins him the game, the other one hangs on, and he just about makes it. I'll show you the less good one first. This move, rook a6. I'll show you the idea. It's in order for this capture to be met with f6. You're thinking, what is going on here? Why are all of these pieces, every single white major piece and the black queen is being harassed right now? Don't say that. You get the point. It's just insane. How is this taking place? Look at all that. Look at that, right? And this is what would happen in the position. I would take the queen. He would take my queen. Then I would just like take this pawn. He takes this, and in the end, he gets to an endgame where he is quite better, right? Maybe not completely winning. He still needs to put in some work. Play king f6, pawn to g5, pawn to g4, and h3. But I would say he's winning. What does the engine say? It says he is utterly, completely demolishing me because the engine can see past a lot of moves. So that's one of his defenses against this rook f5 captures queen g5 idea is to play rook a6. Another one of his defenses, the better defense, is rook a3. The idea is to attack the knight from behind, so that if I take this, all he would need to do to win is give me this check. And then after I am forced to take, he takes my queen. And if I take this, he just wins instantly. He has a rook, and I have nothing. I just have pawns which are going to be taken. So that's why my crazy rook f5 wouldn't work, because he has rook a6 and rook a3, one of those moves. And that's why I said, if I had literally rook f5 takes queen g5, if this pawn would have been there, I'm completely winning. Completely. But it wasn't there. So I had to deal with it. So c5 takes, b4. Right? I just recaptured the pawn. In fact, you know why I played c5 in the first place? It's because earlier rook f5 would not have worked. Because here, the bishop is not pinned anymore. He can just move it. And his pawn protects the queen. His pawn protects the queen, right? So, I mean, this would lose on the spot, right, like that. The king is displaced from the queen. That's losing for black. So that's why I played c5, in order for him to take, and his queen is unprotected. Then I realized that my rook f5 wouldn't work anyway, because he had rook a6 or rook a3. So I took, and he went b4. Idea being to facilitate this rook a3 move. So after b4, I played a big mistake. Not a big mistake, but an ideological mistake. That is to play c6. The idea is, after he takes, I wanted to go rook f5, then takes queen g5, right? And, he looks completely screwed. If it weren't for this move, and now I'm completely screwed. The idea of my c6 was, in order to prevent rook a6 from being a defense. Rook a6 is not a defense anymore, because this pawn is blocking the 6th rank for black. But he had rook a3. And then after I take, he just swaps off everything and he's a rook up in the end. So, after this unfortunate blunder, b takes c6 was played, and I went rook 1 to f4. A move that just tries to maintain the pressure. It's not a special move, and also releases the knight from this annoying pin. So rook 1 to f4. And after that, he went rook to a3 anyways, with this idea, and then queen to f2. Just trying to get some pressure here. Of course, it's not the easiest thing to defend. And in this position, after queen f2, I had 6 minutes on my clock and he had 16 minutes. So both of us are in, especially me, both of us are in time pressure. So he went c5, it's a normal move. And I spent like 4 minutes, about 2/3 of my remaining time left, calculating this position. Should I go rook takes e6? Because if I do that, the entire idea is uh, in order to play, he can't go f takes because I just take this. Actually, no, he can because then check takes takes, or in fact rook takes maybe. No, rook takes, he takes this, and then if I take, he just takes and his upper pawn in a king and pawn endgame, and he's completely winning. He just makes a passed pawn here, pushes my king to that side, whilst his king gobbles up these king side pawns, and he promotes on the king side. So it wouldn't quite work for me. He just does this, right? So this rook takes e6 wouldn't work. That's why after queen f2 c5, I just went for knight to e2 with a very eccentric idea I found with 2 minutes left on my clock. This was pure drama, right? And also, there was like a playing room with like 30 games happening at the same time. My game was the second last to finish, so there was just 2 balls left. Me and my opponent versing each other, and some other guy and their opponent on another part of the room, in another part of the room. So, uh, intense. Anyway, 92 was played, and you'll see my idea. Rook to d8, uh, knight to g1. Look at that. Can you see my plan now? Knight to e2, knight to g1. My whole plan is to do this. Boom, boom, and then crash open. Right? That was my entire idea. I found that with 2 minutes to spare on my clock. Look at that, right? Who would have thought in this position that I had knight e2, knight g1, knight f3, and knight g5? But this is the beauty of chess, right? So knight g1, and he went queen d4, offering a queen trade. Of course, I cannot take because then he just gets into a winning endgame. So I did this sacrifice. He had to take. What other options does he have? King h6. In fact, that is an option, isn't it? King g8, of course, and king h8 lose because I just give him a check on the back rank, swap off rooks, and then nearly mate him. Let's see what the engine has to say. It says I just swap off. Fair enough. That's what I would do. Then go rook b7 after. So he had to take. He kind of had to. And the engine says he's minus 3.6. I took, and then he went king g8. Like that. Of course, king f4, king h6 loses on the spot. So he went king g8. Keeping pressure against my rook, so that my queen can't move away. Meanwhile, he's threatening this queen trade, so I kind of play the only good move in this position, which was queen f4. Um, so after queen f4, rook e8 to pressure this pawn, threaten to win it. And I pretended like nothing happened. Knight to f3. Look at that. Knight to f3 is such a move. Such a nice move. And he just can't take on e4. I'll show you why. If queen takes e4, pause the video, try and find a deflection tactic or displacement tactic. Alright, I will show you. So you know how this rook protects the queen? Look at that. If you take, now it doesn't protect the queen anymore, I can just win the queen. So he would have to move his king forward, and then simply I can give check and win the rook, but I have many more ways to win as well. Check. Actually, yeah, that's the easiest way to win, isn't it? I don't need to complicate things. Mate in 7, apparently, according to the engine. Well, you get my point. This just loses on the spot. So he would do this, right? He could do this if he wants to, but that's kind of also very bad. Because check, king moves somewhere, and knight g5. So the king would have to go to g7 instead. Then I check, king there, or in fact rook f7. The minimum I can get here is just a draw, and he doesn't want to draw against me because remember I am a higher, lower rated opponent. But check and let's see the engine. I'm not quite sure what to do. Oh wait, oh yeah, you just take the queen. My bad. You just check and you take the queen. Yeah, and it's completely winning. All right, cool. So that's why he can't touch the pawn. After knight f3, he can move his queen away. To where, you may ask? Probably to like c3 or something. My idea was to go rook b7, threaten this, and when he defends that, go queen there and threaten this checkmate here. And it's very hard for him to defend. Remember that despite him being an exchange up, because I sacrificed the exchange on f7, he is far from winning. In fact, here, his according to the engine, I checked after the game, a better move for him was rook to e3. Much better move. In fact, let's see. The engine does say rook to e3. The idea being after knight to f6, knight to f3, sorry, he is able to take this pawn because there is no displacement trick anymore and there is no check. Whereas earlier in the actual game, there was a displacement and there was a check here. If he were to take by rook, there was a check. So knight f3 was played. He could escape with his queen, but he just has too many weaknesses on the 7th rank. He decided to play this move. Rook takes f3 and is just zeroed. Just got into an dead equal position. Not quite dead equal though, because I had 1 minute on my clock and I went as low as 15 seconds. But thankfully there was a 30-second increment. Rook takes f3, I mean g takes probably. No, I went queen takes, didn't I? I don't remember. I'll check the score sheet. Yes, queen takes. And once again, he can't take on e4 because of similar tricks. He went queen e5 check, and I blocked by rook, which was probably a slight inaccuracy. Because, well, it's not because of this pin. I am able to survive it with g3. But, well, I think it just creates too many weaknesses, doesn't it? So rook f4 is played. And after rook f4, he went c4, initiating a counter attack. So after c4, what did I do? I played king to h1, escaping from this pin so that my rook can now start being annoying to him. So king h1, rook to a8, which is interesting, threatening some sort of check there. So after rook to a8, I played queen to g3. This is the first threat. The second threat is a bit less obvious for those of you out there. This move. The idea is to uncover this line, take his queen whilst he is occupied with the check. So he had to escape from both threats at the same time, and he went queen to e6, escaping from this diagonal whilst also protecting the pawn from the queen. So after queen to e6, e5. Once again, if he takes, same exact problem. Rook to f8 was played. After rook to f8, I captured, takes, and queen to f2. He went king to g7. In my opinion, king to g8 was better because what he did in the game allowed queen a7 check. And now we're just in a spiral of repeating moves. So after queen a7 check, he went queen f7, queen d4, queen e6, check. Then we repeated for one more time, and it became a 3-move repetition draw. All of this havoc, this absolute mess of a game. Bishop's opening, he took, then I took on f6, forced his queen back, pushed his bishop, started my own kingside attack. He diligently defended. We swapped off. I had rook f5 as a sacrifice, but it didn't work. So I did all this, moved my knight around, sacrificed, brought my knight to f3, got it swapped off, and then finally, after a long game, we drew in around 45 moves. So there you go. That was the entire game. Right? You may be asking, why exactly did we agree to a draw? Why don't we just play on and be ambitious, you may say? Well, first of all, I had about 2 minutes on my clock, and he had about 1 minute on his clock. And so, you know, both of us were extremely likely to make a mistake if we continued. And, it's almost like uh, nuclear stalemate. If one guy tries to attack another, he knows that he has nukes, so he can't attack him. And if the other guy tries to attack one guy, he knows he can't attack him because he has nukes, right? Same thing here. If I try progressing, then one of such ways to progress is, or quote unquote progress, in fact I end up degenerating, is to do this. Problem is, I just swap off into a lost endgame. He goes B3 and he promotes easily. We may have a swap off, but he still promotes. Uh, so my best bet is to like spiral around, and in other words, I cannot win. How about him? Can he try winning? As soon as he tries winning, right? First of all, this isn't even a win, but as soon as he tries actually winning, let's say he went Queen F1, right? Before we know it, I have passed E pawn, about to promote with E6, Queen D7, E7, and E8. So in fact, he ends up getting into an almost lost position if he plays wrongly. In other words, in these dead drawn situations, playing for a win is playing for a loss. Playing for a win is playing for a loss, right? That's why we agreed to a draw in this position on move 45, right there. After he went Queen D6, draw, right? So that's the end of an extremely dramatic, insane game. I don't think I have anything else to say. This was in one of the Congress tournaments. I ended up drawing this game and, drawing another game, winning another two and losing another two, and I ended up getting a score of 3 out of 6. So it's not so bad. This was one of those draws, which caused me to gain like about 20, about 20 rating points or something. My net gain of rating points from the entire 6-game tournament was 19.6 elo points, which I'm not complaining at all, honestly. So I hope you enjoyed that game, and I hope to see you soon. Have a great holiday and, rest of your day.